Lineage Cell Therapeutics is, as the name would suggest, a cell therapy company, although we really prefer to think of ourselves as a cell transplant company. The reason for that is that the technology that we rely on is we have the ability to manufacture specific types of cells of the human body, and then we use those cells as the medicine. The OPC1 program is a population of oligodendrocyte progenitor cells. You can think of these as the myelin-generating cells of your spinal cord. So they help control the message between your brain and your appendages. So the injuries which may occur, spinal cord injuries, can cause the loss of sensation or mobility. And our approach to helping people gain greater mobility through their recovery is to manufacture replacement cells and deliver them right to the site of injury. This is a program that's been tested so far in 30 individuals with severe spinal cord injuries. It's been very exciting to see the safety and efficacy data that we have collected so far, and we're really excited about continuing to advance this program through additional clinical trials. There are two really profound things that I've always appreciated about the people who participated on this clinical trial so far. One is their courage. You're talking about a novel therapy. They don't know if it's going to help them. They don't often understand the technology because it really is, breaking new territory in the field of cell transplants. Then in addition to that, these individuals are so open, and they aren't numbers on a piece of paper, just data points. They have welcomed us literally into their homes to be able to talk about their experiences. From that, we can learn about how to make these therapies better, how to collect data in more approachable ways.
I was injured on the 23rd of July, 2016, and I was actually injured on a bicycle. My friend had a bicycle jump set up on a boat dock into the water. So it was just an Evel Knievel type fun gag that I probably could have done 1,000 times and not been hurt, but I was just lucky enough and landed just right where I actually broke my 5th vertebrae. I knew something was wrong immediately when I hit the bottom of the shallow, muddy lake. Right when I hit the bottom, not only was the wind knocked out of me, but I couldn't swim immediately, and not only that, I could barely doggy paddle, and none of my legs, arms, or hardly any muscles worked whatsoever, so I was immediately put into a fight or flight type of get your head to the top of the water or drown. My friends actually thought that I was just kidding around when they saw the helmet that I was wearing bobbing right near the surface of the water, and I was struggling like crazy, obviously to get my mouth above the surface of the water so I could get a breath of air, and it was probably 25, maybe 30 seconds before they realized that I wasn't kidding, and they jumped in and raised me, above the water level surface, and I immediately said, "Keep my head still, keep my neck still, call 911. Immediately after I was taken from the water, I was put on a backboard and taken to the local hospital in an ambulance, only to find out my condition was so serious I had to be airlifted in a helicopter to Indianapolis. And shortly thereafter, I woke up from a few surgeries and realized I was basically 100% paralyzed. My right arm, I could move a little bit. I could raise my right hand approximately 6 or 8 inches off the bed, but my left hand, I could only get maybe a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch, only my hand, not my wrist or my whole arm, off of the bed. And right off the beginning, I was stripped of almost anything that I had. And I remember, playing sports in high school and being very athletic, lifting weights and whatnot, and focusing a whole lot on gaining strength and mobility and skills in high school. And then thereafter, 15 years later, after I broke my neck, the experience was completely different, where I really had to fight tooth and claw, for every single little millimeter of extended mobility and increased strength that I got back. So laying in the hospital bed within 10 or 12 days of my injury, actually a doctor in Indianapolis told me about a cell therapy option where a specific spinal cord injury cell was developed and being developed to aid in spinal cord injury survivors' recovery. So I knew right from the beginning that there could be a very rare and very unique opportunity. An option was put in front of me from, I'd say, 10 or 12 days in that I knew might give me an edge above those that would not be presented with this option. In the long run, I decided that I thought the spinal cord cells could help me a lot more than they could hurt me. And a friend of mine who is also a spinal cord injury survivor was there with me asking the doctor all of the questions that he could think of and that I could think of in terms of long-term, short-term effects, my therapy immediately thereafter, how the cells were going to affect my therapy, how the cells were going to affect everything about my injury. So being able to ask any questions that I wanted and have some time to think about it was definitely a really positive thing that allowed me to, in the long run, make the right decision. The whole clinical trial experience was quite a bit of learning. I think trying it was a really positive thing because it allows other people that may be spinal cord injury survivors in the future also have an option, and it presents us with some data. And so we know a lot of things now that we didn't know 5 or 10 years ago, and for me to be able to be part of this trial meant a lot to me, and to also hopefully the spinal cord injury survivors that have been injured after me. After approximately 12 days in the ICU, I was transferred from a hospital out of state to the hospital that I wanted to do my long-term recovery at. And after I made the decisions definitely to get the spinal cord cells, I was moved from my rehab hospital to the hospital that gave me the spinal cord cells. And I was there for approximately 10 days, basically doing the preparations for the cells, a couple scans before that, physically getting the cells injected into my neck, my back at the exact same place where I broke my neck. And then there was a 4 or 5 day recovery period thereafter where I was just getting the strength back to be able to get back to therapy. It was probably 3 months into my recovery before I really started to see some big differences in terms of my recovery and my rehabilitation. For example, probably 3 or 3.5 months in, I was finally able to raise my hand to the height of my face, and in terms of beginning to be able to feed myself again, it's absolutely amazing to be able to do that again, obviously after being an adult and having to be fed by others. Essentially my body was a 30-year-old person being put in an infant's body, and so being able to raise your arms up on your own and move them around and pick things up off the ground, or not necessarily off the ground, but pick things up, use your hands, use your arms, was absolutely amazing. In fact, I got a lot of new feeling 4 or 5 months into my injury, and I attribute a lot of that to the cells. All I can say is I did my best, and I took every opportunity that I had to get myself better, and I think the cells were a massive part of that. And so not just the increase in strength and mobility and being able to stretch and reach things higher and get some strength back, but the feeling was a really massive part of that too. So being able to feel things in my legs and in my feet that I couldn't prior to the cells. The doctors and the physical and occupational therapists were quite excited by my increases in mobility. I would say that my speed at which I recovered and essentially my ability to bounce back after like a workout or a muscle lifting session or a sitting balance session, I thought my recovery time decreased as time went on, And again, my strength just increased as time increased since the injection of the spinal cord cells. Around 2.5 years into my injury, my mom explained that she wanted to move back to Louisiana after my dad passed away, and so I was presented with a choice to move with her or move out on my own. And that, right when I thought about it, was kind of a daunting idea to, move out on my own 2.5 years into my injury, but I'm really glad that I pursued it because it just forced me to get stronger and more independent. I think the cells really played a big part in that decision too, and aided me, with the ability to actually physically be able to. So it was pretty amazing.
So you've been doing well? You getting the ergs on the rowing machine?
I do my very best to get on that.
It was very special that Chris invited us into his home, literally, to be able to hear his experiences, not only from the early days on the clinical trial, but actually living as a spinal cord injury patient, and the independence that he's been able to develop through years of hard work and having a good outcome on the clinical trial. One of the things in particular I thought is interesting was when we talked about trying to really connect how you measure in the setting, how you're measuring the performance of a therapy and connecting it to things that people really care about. It's not just movement, but movement that's useful and productive and helping them with their activities of daily living. And I think that's a challenge for the field, and we really pay attention to that.